And I think, as most oncology pharmacists will say, it becomes a mission instead of a job. My name is Joy Gibson. I'm a clinical pharmacist for Tennessee Oncology in Nashville. Oncology pharmacy can have a broad scope. A lot of pharmacists work in community oncology, or you can be a clinical oncology pharmacist on the floor in the hospital. It can also branch over into pharma as a medical science liaison, or even into oncology sales. So for Tennessee Oncology, I currently work with regimen builds. And as we know, with drugs coming out as frequently as they do, we have to stay on top of that and to keep the regimens. I also work with education for our physicians and nursing, also for patients, and also help with drug inventory, which the costliness of that, as you can only imagine, in this realm is difficult. So my average day, answering lots of questions and working with nursing to ensure that regimens are in correctly. Is there compatibility, the different things that will be hanging on a patient, and availability of drugs. A big thing that we're working on right now is with the back orders of so many medications and so many oncology drugs, and offering to the physicians an alternative so that they're just not having to come up with all of this on their own. What is available? What can we get? What do we need to do for the patient? I got my bachelor's in Stanford in 1993, which makes me 29. And then I worked in retail and a little bit in the hospital, and stayed home with my daughter for a few years. When we moved back to Tennessee from Alabama, I started again in retail, but then transitioned back over to hospital. I drew the short straw and ended up on the oncology unit and absolutely loved it. And I think, as most oncology pharmacists will say, it becomes a mission instead of a job. The favorite part of my job would have to be patient interactions. One part of Tennessee Oncology's motto is, it's a privilege to take care of cancer patients, and it truly is. They are by far amazing people, strength and courage. They encourage me. I try to encourage them, but then I walk away encouraged. And it can be hard, but it can definitely be a mission field. I find myself going that extra mile. How can I find this drug? How can we get this regimen approved? What do I need to do? I've never met an oncology pharmacist that isn't amazing. By far, some of the most amazing pharmacists I've ever met. Some of the biggest hearts. Not many people get out of it. I think we all love it, and it can be hard, as you can only imagine. You get attached to someone, and it's hard to let go. But we're still human. AIs aren't filling these prescriptions, so as long as it's a human back there, we're going to have feelings, and we're going to get attached. By far, the most important thing is to be educated. So always important to stay up. You can work on CEs, again, with the ENCODA things, but definitely learning while you're there and learning while you're in the process. If you're a student, do one of your electives in an oncology rotation. It is great. I think it scares most people, pharmacists. I think we look at it and we think, oh my goodness, so much change, or it's too hard to learn. It's not too hard to learn. It's very repetitive once you get into it, so it is easier to learn, but it is a repetitive process. Lots of learning curve, but still very exciting and very interesting to learn. I think most people would be surprised at what all I've done to get things covered for a patient. I've had, 10 o'clock at night conversations with pharmacy technicians at an insurance company and striking deals, nothing illegal, but just, trying to get things covered, trying to find, sometimes I think, the human touch on at a person that works for an insurance company or a PBM, and trying to get them to understand our side on it or why they should cover a medication. Sometimes I laugh and think, I'm really not that person, am I? But I am. I'm an advocate. So I do think I had my father was diagnosed with cancer in 2010, and I think that it taught me to be an advocate. I had to become the voice that he may not necessarily had. So it breaks my heart when I see a patient without an advocate, and I jump in both feet, whether they want it or not. So I think becoming an advocate, although pharmacists are great at that, we do it behind the retail counter all the time. Behind the scenes in the hospital, most people would never even know their pharmacist is there. But this is really a place that you're in there. You are both feet jumped in, full, just learning. Might be feeling like you're drowning, but you eventually figure it out. We are more.